Hello everybody, my name is Sinvicta and welcome to my first ever build here on the channel. Thank you all very much who've been checking out the Diablo 4 content. I've been getting a lot of questions in my chat regarding what build am I playing, and I wanted to make this video really quickly just to sort of point people towards my current standing in the Diablo 4 early access. Now, it's probably by the time you're seeing this, we're now in the release period, but yeah, it's a pretty simple build. I don't play Whirlwind. I didn't really like the feel of Whirlwind. It's too hard to keep your Fury generation up, and I wanted to play a build that I could level with, but also still do a pretty decent amount of content with. And right off the bat, I will say that this build is not optimized at all in terms of Paragon points or anything like that, but I am just going to show you what skills I'm using and also a couple of the aspects I'm using for Legendary, and then we'll just go from there and probably run this this dungeon here, this Tier 5 Nightmare Dungeon. So here's the Paragon points really quickly. Again, just ignore this on my end. I don't know how the Paragon points are really going to be optimized yet for this build. I haven't even messed with it, but I can at least show you what the skills are going to be for this build. It's a lot of fun. It's a Hammer of the Ancients as well as a Call of the Ancients build, and it's pretty versatile. I mean, you do a lot of damage. There is a lot of running around, but you're not very like squishy either. Like, you're pretty dang tanky with the Fortify. So here up at the top here with the basic skills, just go for Lunging Strike. 1 point in here, go into the Enhancing Lunging Strike, and then the Battle Lunging Strike. This is very important because of the bleeding, which I'll talk about a little bit later when we get to Hamstring. Over here, obviously the core skill, this is the most important part. I do have 2 ranks on one of my bracers, which is going to give me an extra couple of, just a bit of extra damage with my Hammer of the Ancients. It scales very, very well every time you get a new rank, so you want to try to get as many plus ranks to your primary move as much as you can, or shouts and that sort of stuff. Also, speaking of shouts really quickly, this was taken from the most recent nerf patch that Blizzard did on Whirlwind bars, specifically with shouts, so it still operates just fine for this build. You know, we did lose a little bit of damage reduction, but you can make up for that with the fortification damage reduction gems, which I'll show you when we get to the gear part. Yeah, Hammer of the Ancients, going over here to enhance the Hammer of the Ancients, and then Furious Hammer of the Ancients. This one's very important because obviously you deal 1 point of additional damage for each point of Fury that you use while you are using it. This goes great with Unbridled Rage, which I'll talk about when we get down to the key talents. And then I also have Pressure Point here. This just gives you a 30% chance to make enemies vulnerable for 2 seconds to just increase the overall output of your Hammer of the Ancients. And then, of course, Endless Fury, which means that we're going to give ourselves more Fury so we can continue to get more and more Hodas just stacked on stacked and stack. As you can see here, I do not use Ren. We don't need Ren because we have bleeding from the Battle Lunging Strike. Then over here on the defensive skills here, I still do use shouts, although not as much as I used to, but you still kind of need them. Rallying Cry, of course, you need that for the crowd control break if you get frozen, like this game loves to spam on you. Tactical Rallying Cry as well as Enhanced Rallying Cry because the Unstoppable, like we just got done talking about. I do have 1 point in Challenging Shout as well because you do still want that damage reduction. It does help out a lot. And of course, you also have a 20% bonus maximum life, which is going to help out with Fortify, and also you gain 3 Fury each time you take damage, so you can just sit there and still tank it up and just spam Hoda over and over and over again. By Hoda, I mean Hammer of the Ancients, by the way. Down here on the brawling skills, we have War Cry. I do have a couple of extra ranks here that was given to me from gear. I don't remember what gear that gave it to me, but we still want 1 point in here at least. And then going over to Enhanced War Cry as well as Mighty War Cry. Again, you get that for the fortification and the damage reduction. You still have Booming Voice as well as Raid Leader, which is very important because you need to have not only the increased duration of the shouts, but you want to have the ability to heal yourself as well. And if you have all 3 shouts up, obviously you're healing for 9% of your maximum HP a second, which is going hand in hand with Challenging Shout and War Cry and Battle Cry. Then down here on the weapon mastery skills, this is where we have one of the best skill nodes in the game, Hamstring, because your bleeding affects slow enemies for 10%. Now, anytime that you slow an enemy, you stun an enemy, or you freeze them or anything like that, they are considered immobilized or crowd controlled. And this is where one of the stats that you can get on your weapons and gear say in percentage increase against crowd control enemies, which is very, very good. And you only need 1 point in Hamstring to do this. And remember, because we have the Battle Lunging Strike all the way up in our basic attacks, this is going to allow us to basically spam slows on stuff every single time that we hit them with a basic ability, which of course we're going to be using Lunging Strike all the time. And yeah, this is just a flat out huge damage increase for very, very little investment on the skill points. Then we also have Pit Fighter. You deal 9% increased damage to close enemies and gain 6% damage reduction against casters and stuff like that. And then No Mercy gives you the 9% increased crit chance against immobilized, stunned, or slowed targets. And like I said right there, all that counts as crowd control. It's very, very important. Then down here I also have Thick Skin, which is going to give us that base default amount of Fortify. And then Counteroffensive, this one is very, very important as well. While you have Fortify, you deal over 50% of your maximum life, you deal 12% increased damage, and you are basically always fortified whenever you take this build. And you'll see how tanky I am. I'll show you my gear in just a moment. Over here on the ultimate skills, we have Call of the Ancients, Prime Call of the Ancients, and then Supreme Call of the Ancients. This just gives you more fury, and they just leap around and whirlwind and do a bunch of crazy stuff and get you a lot of damage, a lot of fury. Heavy-handed, this is going to be pretty important over here on the weapon side of things. You have it increased critical strike damage, and then down here you have Wallop for the bludgeoning weapons. I do use a bludgeoning weapon for all of this because basically of this one right here with concussion with a lucky hit. Skills using bludgeoning weapons have a 30% chance to stun enemies for 5 seconds, or up to 45% chance when using a two-handed bludgeoning weapon. As you can see right here, I'm holding one, and I'll show you really quickly how to change your arsenal selection for barbarians. This can be a little bit hidden in the game. They don't really give you a good way of doing this, but if you want to learn how to change your primary arsenal weapon for the move that you're moused over, all you have to do on PC anyway, I don't know what it is on console or controller, you just click your middle mouse button, and this is going to switch the primary weapon that you use for this particular move. Now, by default, it's on auto select. Don't leave it on auto select because it's going to make you using your slashing weapon. Don't do that. What you want to do is you want to either have a dual wielding bludgeoner weapon on your main hand, or what you should always be doing is using your bludgeoning weapon, which is always going to be, of course, a hammer, and that is going to give you the stun chance with the stun chance on the lucky hit. And then, of course, that's going to increase the amount of damage you're doing because you're basically stun them. There are particular stats in the game that give you increased percentage damage against stun targets specifically, and that is what we like to stack up along with crit strike damage, crit strike in general, and vulnerability damage. It's all very, very good. And then finally down here on the key pass as we go to Unbridled Rage, this just gives you a ton more damage whenever you're using Hammer of the Ancients, and especially if you factor in everything like I talked about, the vulnerability damage, crit strike damage, and the stun damage. All that goes into huge hits. And the biggest hit I've seen so far at my level, I'm only level 57 at the time of recording, was 137,000 damage, which people in the end game are hitting for way more, and I understand that. And of course, my character is not optimized by any means, but I've just been enjoying playing this build here. You can definitely use it for leveling as well. It doesn't require a whole lot of investment in terms of the aspects, and as you can see here, I'm stacking the damage reduction while fortified, because basically you're always fortified in this build. And you see right there, each point of fury generated while maximum grants 7 fortified. So you're always going to be fortified, which is very, very nice. Then critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies. I kind of ignore these two stat sticks here. I don't really have them upgraded yet. And then the slashing weapon. Again, all three of these weapons are basically stat sticks for our main weapon, which is going to be your legendary bludgeoning weapon. And a couple of other key imprints really quickly here. This one on the Ring of Intercom, this is obviously imprinted from one that you can unlock. By the way, every single imprinted aspect is stuff that you can unlock in the game. You don't actually have to salvage anything from the legendary side of things. You can actually get all these unlocks, but just by running a regular dungeon. So deal 5% increased damage for each second you stand still up to 30. So if I stand still for 6 seconds, just not moving, I actually gain 30% more damage. And you'd be surprised how often you stand still with this build. Another one that's very important, if I can find it over here, this one here, the Hammer of the Ancients quakes outwards. This one is one of, I would say, the most, if not the core aspect that you have to have for this build in order to work. Otherwise, Hammer of the Ancients does not do AoE damage as efficiently as you would want it to. This is very, very important. The 64% there, that is not set in stone. It can go all the way up. I've seen it all the way up to 89%. It's pretty nuts, but you have to have this one in order to really maximize the amount of damage and AoE that you want from Hammer of the Ancients. A couple other things here that are kind of important, but you don't really need them. The lucky hit, direct damage against bleeding enemies, has up to a 25% chance to stun them for 2 seconds. Again, we're talking about the crowd-controlled or immobilized enemies and stun damage. That's a very, very important stat there. And then another one that you want here, this one is very, very important as well. I'd say this is the second most important aspect that you want. Attacking enemies with a basic skill increases the amount of damage of your next core skill by up to 5%, up to 30%. So basically, and that can vary that can fluctuate as well. But basically, after 6 attacks with lunging strike, I can use my core ability, which is going to be Hammer of the Ancients, and theoretically, under a perfect circumstance, I will have this one stacked up to 30% and this one stacked up to 30%. So giving you 60% additional damage on a target with Hammer of the Ancients, especially at full fury. That's going to hit really, really hard. And then I do like this one as well. The basic skills grant grant a 20% damage reduction for 2 seconds. You're always going to be using this, and you'll see how tanky that I am. So that is going to do it for that that part of the build here, and I'm just going to run some of this dungeon. So if you skipped ahead here and you just want to see the build in action, I will be leaving timestamps and stuff down below, as well as the chapters on this video here. I have no idea what dungeon I've selected, but just wanted to show you, like, it's pretty good. You don't really need all the shouts to do lots and lots of damage. And I'll point out a couple things really quickly here. So down here you'll see that I'm gaining damage just by standing still, and I'm going to maximize this to 30. So now we're doing 60% additional damage on the next Hammer of the Ancients, and it hits real hard. So what the heck is going on over here? A blood blister. This is like. This is some kind of modifier I haven't seen yet. The highest, because I know that it's probably going to show up in the comments. The highest tier that I have cleared so far, anyway, with this build has been 14. So the tier 14 on the Nightmare Dungeon, which isn't, I mean, that's not that impressive. Like, there's a lot of other build guys out there that do like, oh, I'm on tier 4 million and that sort of thing, and that's cool. But again, this is just the build that I'm rocking. It's not optimized by any means. I'm not a build guide YouTuber. In fact, this is the first build video I've ever made in my life, so it might be a little bit clunky, but I just wanted to answer some questions from my chat and kind of show it off here. As you see, we're hitting for a pretty decent amount of damage. Every 25 seconds, you don't have to use your shouts every 25 seconds if you don't want to. The only times I really use my shouts if I'm in a big pack, or if I need to just get a heal or something like that. You see right there, I didn't even have any stacks up with my Hoda, and I still hit for 45k on a non-elite, so it was a big 20k there. The hardest hit that I've seen so far is 137,000, which is, again, there's some people who are probably hitting in the millions, and that's fine. I'm happy for them, but with this build here, it's a comfortable build. I like the play style. You don't have to like juggle the shouts and stuff like a Whirlwind Barb does. You can very easily just lunging strike in, just deal a bunch of damage, and then just peace on out and go to the next pack. Yeah, so this would be a big pack. I'm going to pop everything here, get the Call of the Ancients out, and then absolutely just wreck everything. It's just constant just Hoda spam whenever you use Call of the Ancients, because they're just giving you so much fury. That is one thing that this build does not have a problem with, unlike Whirlwind builds for me, which is that just fury generation, you basically just pop everything. So I usually wait for about 25-30% on the core skill damage bonus, and then I just go to town. So we got a treasure goblin over here. Get this gobbo out of the way. I don't know if we can actually stun. Yeah, as you see, he's currently unstoppable. But we caught up to him, get the stun, big wallop damage there. Down he goes, and we get some sacred boots as well. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm happy with this build. It's not perfect, but it definitely works for me. And you're seeing here the reason why it's so important to get that to use your two-handed bludgeoner weapon for your lunging strike. That was something that was hidden from me for a long time in the game, actually. I didn't actually discover that I could change my main weapon until after I've gone into until after I looked into the menu. I was like, wait, you can switch your arsenal weapon? Oh yeah, really quickly as well. On my expertise, I'm using the technique for two-handed mace expertise for that. So this just gives us a little bit of extra fury whenever we're berserking. It's very, very useful. So it's nice being able to basically just chain stun enemies. It's not like a perma-stun build or anything like that, but you can really gain a lot of damage and really take enemies by surprise before they even get a chance to do anything. And you're seeing here that even our basic attacks, they're hitting okay, like 5, 6, 7k. It's nothing major. But what you really want is that imprint that gives Hammer of the Ancients the AoE. That's the most important thing about the build. You're seeing here that we're fortified. Wow, that was like 120,000 there. So we have a big nasty stinking elite over here. It's a gatekeeper for the map, and he's already dead. No problem at all. It's nice for stunning lunatics and stuff. You can actually stun them before they even get an attack off, which is nice. And like I said, it's a comfortable build. So for those of you who are looking for some kind of alternative to Whirlwind, or if you've been sort of jaded by the nerfs as of today with the shouts and everything, then try this build out. You might actually like it. Another build that I've played in Diablo 4 so far that I actually really kind of liked was the Thorns build, which I probably will be adjusting to and switching over once this, once the survivability of this build may start to wane a little bit at the higher levels, or even in Torment, which obviously I'm only in World Tier 3 right now. So I'm nowhere near the end game, so I don't know how quote end game viable this build will be. But what I do know is that it works for me, and I do like the playstyle. You hit really, really hard. I will say that there's a couple of people who tried to jump me in the PvP zone the other day, and it was a Barbarian and a Necromancer and a Sorcerer, and the Barbarian leapt and jumped basically right on top of me as soon as I got into the zone, and I one-shot him. He was level 61 at the time. I think I was only level like 52, so yeah, it takes a lot of people by surprise, and it hits really, really freaking hard. So you see that sort of radiating damage that we're getting there from the imprint. Trying to keep these lunatics away from me. Also, we got to get this shaman out of here. But that's it for the build guide, though. So if you wanted to see more of the gameplay, I'll finish out this dungeon here. But if not, then you can definitely stop the video. And if you want to see more of the Diablo 4 content here on my gaming channel, definitely go check it out. And if you're not subscribed already, hit the subscribe button. I will be doing more Diablo content. I'll be doing in-game dungeons. I've already done a video on the world boss of Avarice, and I'm going to try to get one for Ashava and the other world bosses as well as they're released by Blizzard. I don't know what these blood boils exploding stuff are kind of scary a little bit. But yeah, it's a pretty comfortable build, man. Like it's very easy to gear. All the stuff is all the stuff that you've seen in terms of the imprints. They're very easily unlockable by just doing all the world dungeons here. I mean, you can, if you want to know where to find the aspects, all you have to do is just hit Y, and then this will tell you. You can mouse over for your class and just show you like, hey, where do I get this? Hey, where do I get this? And you can actually pin them on the map. I can't do this yet because I'm already in a map, but you don't have to go around looking for them. The game will just simply show you where to go. So that's pretty nice. And I can clear tier 14 nightmare dungeons. It's a little bit rough, especially if they get some chain stuns on me. But for the most part, it's not too bad. I did try a tier 20, and I got absolutely smoked in the tier 20. So I'm not quite there yet. I think that the 20 level difference was probably a big deal as well. Being slowed here by these spider webs, and yeah, we're just sideshow bobbing our way in here, trying to find this. Now, one thing, there are a couple of variations that you can do for this build. Instead of running Hammer of the Ancients, you could run Rend if you have a lot of plus levels to your Rend skill, and you have a really, really good two-handed slashing weapon. I could see that this build would work just as fine. You won't have the burst damage, but you'll have the bleeding damage. So you could potentially use that instead of using Hammer of the Ancients, but I just like the way that Hammer of the Ancients plays. I love the AoE that you get from it, and it just dominates. You go in there, if you want to pop a shot, you can, and you lay waste to everything. I would say the most appealing part about this build is the stun chance, though, that you get from the two-handed bludgeoning weapons with a lucky hit. It basically just completely debilitates enemies from being able to do anything. So if you want to call that like active mitigation, you definitely could, because obviously something can't hurt you if it's stunned, unless it's got thorns or something. Then okay, then you win. Now we're just getting into semantics. But yeah, so you see there, just no big deal at all. We just smash the ground, basically blow up everything on the ground around you, and it just works. It does a very good job. And I'll keep playing with this build and refining it. I'm planning on looking over the Paragon tree as I continue to go throughout the end game here and get to eventually, hopefully, Torment. And I'll see where this build is lasting up towards them. But it really doesn't have any problem with with survivability. I do have a legendary aspect that gives me a barrier anytime that I'm hit by an elite. It's either hit by an elite or anytime I hit an elite. It's one of those two. So the barrier is kind of nice, but it's definitely not needed. It's just a little bit more just damage mitigation. Get this blood blister out of here. Let's go back over here and get the Slay quest done. And if you want to see me play this build live, then definitely go check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Sinvicta. You're probably tuning in from there, so thank you very much. That one was like 100, was that 150 that I saw there? And this is where having those amethysts really help out as well, because again, you're always going to be fortified. Like, we're always fortified, over 50% of our maximum HP. So like you get, I mean, right now we're getting what, a total of 10% additional damage reduction just from gems alone, and that's pretty good. I don't even have my stuff like upgraded all the way. I don't even think I have all sacred items either. Or yeah, I guess I do. Didn't realize that they were that good. They're not good, but like they're okay, I guess. One thing I will say that does destroy this build is anytime I'm frozen or poisoned. The crowd control is a little bit ridiculous in Diablo 4. I think I really hope that, oh, that is the butcher. Okay, I was not expecting the butcher, but I guess we doing this then. How about we take a conduit shrine, butcher? How's that sound? I mean, I'll take a butcher kill. I have killed butcher in tier 3 before. I've never actually killed him in a nightmare dungeon, but whatever. There he goes. We get a chest. Was that a unique? It was a unique. Oh baby. Oh baby. Well, that was unexpected, but I'll take it. Wowee, I'll have to look at that before we end the video here. That's my first unique that wasn't given to me by the game, like a quest. Thanks, Butcher. That was very kind of you. I appreciate that. Build video that's 21 minutes long. Well, like I said, I'm already done covering the build now. If you just want to watch me just run through the dungeon. So this might not be it's not like a speed farming build or anything like that, obviously. But like I said, it's reliable. You get tons of damage. You get to see big numbers go up on the screen. It's pretty survivable, as you see here. Like, I'm pretty dang tanky, and I'm not optimized in gear by any sense, and or stretch of imagination. Got a curse shrine here. I don't feel like doing the curse shrine. Well, actually, I probably have to now that it's a slay quest here. Got a Paragon point. And eventually, like, I'm sure that this build will improve whenever I optimize the Paragon stuff. So I might do like a build update whenever I get to like level like 70, or what I'll probably do is I'll probably end up doing a build update whenever I get to Torment, which is going to be level 70 in World Tier 4. That'd probably be a good time for it. I don't care about this curse shrine. I don't care. All I want to do is slay everything. I'll let them continue to spawn, and we'll just go kill these guys over here. Check out this unique real quick. Rage of Harrogath. Physical damage, crit strike. Physical damage against elites. Damage reduction from bleeding. 315 thorns. That's pretty pog. Up to 26% chance to reduce cooldowns when hitting with a basic skill. Of non-ultimate skills. That's actually pretty amazing. I might be utilizing that real quick. There we go. Get these jokers out of here. We got our blast shrine here ready to go for the final boss. But again, if you want to see updates for this build, or if you just want to see more Diablo 4 content in general, then let me know by clicking the like button. Would love to see this video get over 1,000 likes to start with. That would be really awesome. I would appreciate that. We're going to finish off this this nightmare dungeon here pretty easily, and we got a unique, so that's pretty awesome. So, and I'm using the Crusher glyph right now just because it goes for the maces and that sort of thing. So I don't really know how overpowered damage works with this build yet, but yeah, I'll take that one there. Thank you for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, if you did and you want to see more of these kind of videos, then please leave a like down below, leave a comment as well. Let me know what build you're playing here in the Diablo 4 release, as well as the early release for those of you still playing with the collector's edition. And as always, I will see you all next time. Until then, so long, everybody.